All right, welcome to another episode of Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. We have a very special guest, Hall of Famer Barry Sanders, going to tell you quickly about Bet Online, and then we're going to get into a great interview with one of the NFL's all-time legends. The holiday season is off and rolling. The NFL is in full swing. NBA and NHL are hitting midseason form, and Bet Online is your number one destination for all your sports wagering info with up-to-the-minute sports wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. BetOnline is the top spot for all pro and amateur sports and not just the big four. Has info available at your fingertips with desktop and mobile access at any time for almost any sport from MMA to international soccer. Head to BetOnline website today and use our promo code BELIEVE for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And where we start, like I said, Hall of Famer Barry Sanders. He has a new Prime Video documentary, Bye Bye Barry, which gives a long-awaited insight into the special career and journey and shocking retirement of this NFL legend, from the famous facts to the newspaper to the trip to London afterwards. And I understand, Barry, you guys had a Friday premiere at Detroit's Fox Theater. What was that experience like, taking that in for the first time?
Oh, the premiere, man, just ended up being great. A great night. A lot of people came out for it. I had family up for it, and a few of my current Lions friends came over. Jared Goff, the
Wow.
Houston kid, Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery. I mean, it was a lot of fans, and season ticket holders, and just it could not have been better. It was the first time really I had a chance to see the whole thing, and I thought it was very well received, so yeah, it was a great night.
When you retraced your steps when you were producing and making this documentary, you retraced your steps over your career and then even to the trip to London with your sons. I'm just curious, what emotions did you experience then compared to when you went through it when you were younger? Like, did you have any new emotions? Did you have any regret about how you handled it? Or did it reinforce for you that the decision was the correct thing to step away at the end of such a great career?
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting. It was really interesting to kind of walk through the story with my sons. My oldest son, he's 29. He would have been 4 or 5 years old. He didn't really remember my retirement. And then my youngest sons, they weren't around, so they
Mhm.
just kind of heard about it. So it was to me, I was able to be, a lot more relaxed and just I mean, a lot of stuff they learned. I mean, it was funny just to hear them ask about fax machines. Like what's a fax machine? Stuff, stuff like that. Which I had tried to explain to them. Hey, look, that was cutting edge technology back then. Come on
That's
now.
I was going to say, if you did it nowadays, what would the equivalent be? Like an email or a text message? What would it be?
Or yeah, or Twitter or something. I don't know. I don't know. But certainly back then, there was just there were difficult emotions going into it. It was a challenging thing to do.
Mhm.
It was just difficult, and I was trying to figure out, okay, back then, like, okay, how was I going to do it? Was I going to have a press conference? Was I going to do what, but, and so I ended up doing the facts with a guy that I had known for many years who worked for that particular paper.
Mhm.
So I guess it was a much more relaxed, going through it with my sons. My dad has been gone since 2011.
Hmm.
But certainly for him, during that time, he couldn't understand why I was retiring. So that was kind of a challenging period between he and I, and trying to explain to him, that I was retiring, because he wanted to hear nothing of it. Um,
Wow.
and just that sort of a thing. So it was much more challenging, and just back in the late '90s, as I made that decision.
We all have, our parents and those relationships. And so I imagine for you, maybe it was just as difficult that your father didn't support it at the time as the actual decision to retire itself then. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, I mean to some degree that's true. I mean he was a big part of my career.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, and I certainly felt like I needed to try to explain and and have it make sense to him.
Hmm.
You know, and at that time he just could not appreciate it or understand it. You know, you know, and so yeah, that there was difficulty around that, and it made it even more challenging. You know, even just aside from it just being a difficult decision to make, anyways.
Well, there are no stories like yours. That's what one of the things that makes it special. I have to ask, why London at that point? Like you make the decision, you go to London. You could go anywhere. Why England?
For me, um, what I was thinking was, you know, I had sort of been there before. I kind of knew how to get around, but at the same time, it's a completely different world.
Mm.
You know, and no one, you know, and I knew that there would be kind of, you know, some fallout here. I didn't really understand, like, you know, how much or what have you,
Hmm.
or to what degree, but certainly I knew that there would be you know, some sort of reaction to it, and so yeah, so to me it just made sense in my mind to get on the plane, go to London for a few weeks, and get away from, you know, just you know, the initial fallout of it, and so that's kind of what I was thinking at the time.
Interesting. Well, we're talking to you here on Thanksgiving week, and you can't have Thanksgiving NFL football without Barry Sanders, at least for me, growing up being an NFL fan, an NFL reporter. I think of you when I think of Thanksgiving. I think of the 1997 three-touchdown game against the Bears when John Madden said, I love this quote, you can't be embarrassed when you miss a tackle on Barry Sanders. I'll never forget that one. Barry, did it feel like a bigger stage when you played on Thanksgiving? And did you like playing? Like, I know it's a short week, but did you like playing in those games, and how big did it feel?
No, it felt much bigger than just a regular season game in late November, and you know, because you understand that you know, so many elements are different for this game, you know, and you understand that, you know, all other NFL teams, you know, are on break other than you know, the other game that's going on, and so they're watching, you know, so that means you know, a lot of other fans that are normally watching their team play or watching you play. You know, there was always the component of it where, you know, we pointed out the fact that there were men and women stationed all around the world, you know, watching in military bases,
Right.
and that kind of thing, and that was always incorporated in, you know, to the week, and also, you know, you would see like, or you would learn about which particular music acts were going to be doing the halftime show and that kind of thing, and sometimes you see them during practice, kind of practicing
Oh,
for the show, and there was just a, you know, a sort of a atmosphere that week that you didn't really experience in normal weeks of the season. You know, and so yeah, and so it was a lot of things were different going into that week.
fascinating. And now with the Thanksgiving games, we also add the Black Friday Prime Video game, first ever Dolphins at Jets in New York. Excited for that one. Speaking of New York, Barry, you and I got to catch up in August in Detroit when the Giants were there. More importantly, you and Saquon Barkley got to catch up and talk for about 20 minutes. And Saquon was telling me the other day, actually, that you gave him an advice on how you kept your speed as you got older, extra training you would do, working on your long speed. And have we gotten to the secret of how Barry Sanders kept it up for so long and why you were so great throughout your career? Like, was there extra work and specific types of training that you did that made you just as explosive in the last year of your career as you were as a rookie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a secret, but I certainly there's certainly a certain type of running, and especially depending on what kind of runner you are. But certainly for me, you know, just being able to you know, hold off all those fast guys chasing you, in this game.
Right.
There's a certain type of training that one needs to do if they're a running back. And yeah, so me and Saquon had a long conversation. It's funny because obviously I was coming over there, as sort of a guest of the Lions. And Saquon kind of cornered me, and we just started talking, and those things sort of came up. But we did talk about some of those things. It was great catching up with him. And so yeah, it ended up being a pretty long conversation. But yeah, those are some of the things that I did. I don't know how much of a secret it is. But I do know that yeah, it required a lot of certain type of running and just staying in shape all season, just to make sure you're ready. So I think it sounds like Saquon's having a pretty good season and doing pretty well and staying safe and healthy. So hopefully it helped.
Yeah, I was going to say it did help. He was actually telling me he was doing that training work up until he sprained his ankle, but now he's doing a little bit more management to get ready for Sundays. He did tell me the first time he heard of you was when he was a kid in Pee Wee. He was wearing number 20, and people started calling him Little Barry, and that's when he started looking you up and mimicking your moves. So how's he doing? How's he doing mimicking those moves? I don't think there's anyone who could truly do them like you do.
No, I think he's doing pretty good. I think it sounds like he was paying attention and taking pretty good notes.
That's right.
So yeah,
He is.
So
He's a
I
pro.
think he's doing pretty good. I think he's doing pretty good with that.
All right. Well, we know you don't have unlimited time, so just a couple more. We'll get you out of here. I wanted to know. I've wanted to know this all for a long time. Did you practice your reactions on the field? So for how you would process defenses and let's say a cut you were about to make, was there a way for you to practice that, whether it was working on your eyesight or working on quick movements or, physics level type studying, or was this reactionary stuff? Like when you were on the field, the game just slowed down for you. You saw things differently.
No, I think for me, you certainly work on those sort of reactions in practice, and over years and years and years, but certainly in the NFL when you're running certain drills, I mean, you're trying to mimic certain things you would do in the game. So certainly for me, some of those things I practiced it. You never know how it's going to come out in a game, because it's a game situation and it's not as controlled as in practice. But certainly, different cuts and things like that, different types of runs, then I certainly practice a lot of those things.
And last one, when and why did you decide to hand the ball to the referee when you scored a touchdown? I think, people remember a lot of things about your career, how special you were as a player, but the humility, I think, is something that always comes up anytime you get mentioned among the all-time greats. So I'm wondering when and why did you decide to do that when you scored?
It would have been pretty early on. I think it was something that my dad impressed on me. And I know I did it in high school, maybe even before then. But I always felt like my work here has been done if I ever reach the end zone. And so that was the thing to do. So it would have been started pretty early, and I think the main reason would have been because of my dad.
Amazing. We are honored to have had you on here. Remember, everyone, we are sponsored by Bet Online, also by Estate 98, an Esencia de Cafe from El Salvador, dating back to 1798. He is the great Barry Sanders, and the Prime Video documentary is Bye Bye Barry. Go see it. It's tremendous. Barry, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Hey, great catching up with you again. Thanks for having me on.
Take care.